Hi, good morning. We are starting today's work session for January 24th, 2019. We started the meeting at 9:45 with an executive session, which was contractual, Riverhead Central School District, Town of Riverhead, Culinary Arts Riverhead, and Suffolk IDA negotiations. We are now opening for our public work session, so we'll start with the pledge. Back in order.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd just like to start today's meeting just to, I'm sure you've noticed that Tim Hubbard, Councilman Tim Hubbard, has not been here for the past week. Last week he did suffer a medical emergency in which he needed to be hospitalized. So we're very happy to report that he is home and recovering. And so that's very, very good news. But he will be out for a period of time, and we will look forward to his return and resuming his role on the town board. So we wish him well, and we wish a speedy recovery.
And I'm gonna chime in that, we keep Tim in our prayers, and we look forward to having him back at the table with us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I saw him last night, he looked pretty good.
Good. And also, once again, I am going to reiterate the safety advisory from January 7th till January 31st at the property at EPCAL and the recreation path. Both are closed for hunting for the deer program at EPCAL, and they will be closed again till January 31st, so please stay off of the trail. And now we will move into work session, which is, well, the first thing is the town board liaison appointments. Everybody has sent in their requests. I will have emailed to everybody. If you haven't received it yet, you will receive it by this afternoon. The appointments that I am proposing, if you could take a look at them and confirm that you are okay with them, and then we can appoint them at the next meeting.
Yes, and if I can just amend the resolution, the work session agenda as I did last week, to keep the board posted on what's happening with the yard waste and the recycling crisis that we're having on Long Island, because we did attend a meeting, and
So
I
you
just wanna keep everybody.
You're the liaison for the sanitary, so you wanna do it as a committee report from sanitation? We could do all committee reports, how about that? So,
Today?
well, is everybody else prepared to give committee reports? I can update today, but what I would appreciate is if you have a committee that you would like to report off on at the work session, please notify John, and then we will put it on the agenda as committee reports, so we know which committees are reporting off. We have also are in the process, once the assignments are made, to create the calendar. Last year, we had the committee report calendar, where several of the committees came in, but not all of the committees were compliant with coming in. So we will confirm that calendar and do reports there. So,
Yeah.
Go ahead if you'd like to do that first.
This is just things that are coming up every other day. So
understand
yesterday,
that,
I was on
so-
a conference call, so we're just trying to get our arms around the yard waste and the requirements now that we're bringing our recyclables and our yard waste to another facility than we had been. Now, as of last week, the Brookhaven, where we're bringing our yard waste and our recyclables to,
Once
they
it's
don't want it
separated.
mixed, they want it separated, so there's gonna be 2 pickups every other week, but I think in order to better educate the public, that we need to take out some ads in the local newspapers and online, and then also, get it on Channel 22. The sanitation department is working on the information now as to what's recyclable, what's not recyclable, and when to put it out. So, and the updated calendar is being revised as we speak, so as soon as we get that, we'll have to do a mailing. We've worked with the Carter to split the expense with him.
Is this different from what we proposed last week?
Yeah.
So what's the difference?
This is a mailing, instead of the new stickers, the cost was, I think, $16,000 to send out the new stickers, and that's not even having them printed.
So we had asked about a double-sided sticker, are we able to do that?
Anne Marie Prudente is saying, no, not at this time, because we don't have the new dates.
But would
For next year.
Brookhaven allow us, if we, have you contacted Brookhaven to find out if we could do the double-sided sticker and have our confirmed dates for the following year, or that hasn't been worked out yet?
I'm trying to understand how a double-sided sticker would work, cause when you get a sticker, you peel off one side and you put it on the fridge, so how would the double side work?
Or you just send out 2 different ones, one for 19, one for 20.
Right, instead of doing a second mailing.
Just pre-figure out your dates, you can save some money that way.
Yeah,
Because
so,
it's the mailing.
so we were thinking instead of doing the printer for the sticker and doing the mailing of the sticker, which was $16,000, then the cost of the sticker was significantly higher, is just sending out a notification letter and then updating everybody on the local media sources and then on the town website as to what the pickup days were, rather than sending out a new sticker for this year.
So the notification letter would be to all residents,
Yes.
and what's
And
the
the Carters-
postage on that?
it-
What's the price on that for postage?
Anne Marie's working on it right now, but we estimate that it's gonna be around 6,000, where our cost would be 6,000, we're splitting it with the Carter, that's what was negotiated,
So it's still about 12,000.
in total, yes.
Okay, so it's about 3,000 less than mailing out the replacement sticker, but if we could mail out for the 2 years of the stickers, it would cut the cost.
Yeah,
Maybe that would be the savings in the long run, you're saying.
Yes, yeah.
well, the cost of the stickers also you have to make, so you have to incorporate that into the cost, and I will get that cost for you. But as of right now, I think that it's important to educate the public on what's recyclable, what's not recyclable, and the new yard waste program, and then the stickers and the calendar we can put on the website, and we can also put it on the local media.
So, and my other
Oh my
question
gosh,
is,
we all gotta be scientists on garbology, I guess, we got to learn I guess that little triangle on the bottom doesn't mean anything anymore.
Well, like I said, we're in the process of updating it for the entire year on an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, as was the sample that we gave last week, that Brookhaven put out. And Brookhaven's really done a great job on their website and actually doing a lot of, public information through local media and sources to let people know what's happening and that the single stream no longer exists.
I just hope people get enthused about it and not disgusted by
well,
it.
we've always been the single stream, so.
Yeah, I mean,
So
I've
I'm
always been pretty
I'm
good
a
about
little
sorting my
confused
stuff,
here,
but if I get,
Jody.
I'll just throw it all in one bag if I got.
So you're doing the mailing instead of the sticker?
I'm gonna get all the costs.
Okay.
I'll get the cost
then
for
get
the
back
double
to us.
stickers, I'll get the cost, but I'd really like something in the resolutions for Tuesday night, I'd like you to think about that, as far as hiring local media for the online and then the newspaper version also, to educate the people on what's recyclable and what's not recyclable. And I'll get those costs as well.
Well, it'll be the 5th, so we
Yeah, and I'm confused,
it won't be this Tuesday, it'll be next Tuesday.
this is an addition to the notification to the community.
Yep.
Okay. All right, so get all the costs, get all the breakdown and present all of them, so we have one more work session before then, and then let's see where we're at.
Good, I'll have all the numbers and everything for next week, but
And also
It's-
just a postcard may be
I can't
cheaper
wait
than
to
a
find
letter
out
in an
what's not
envelope.
recyclable anymore.
actually, the postcards were more expensive,
To
so
mail.
that's why we decided 8.5 by
Can you
11
give me a
would
for
be
instance
better.
what's not recyclable anymore?
Yeah,
A dirty pizza box,
well, that's what the.
seriously, a dirty pizza box is not
Or
recyclable.
a
because
jar of
it's
sauce
not-
that still has the sauce in it that's
Well,
not rinsed out.
I
and-
rinse all that stuff out.
Then it's recyclable, the problem is that what was happening is contaminated, right, and then the other issue is, do we wanna continue to recycle glass, because that's a big issue with contamination also, that I think we need to discuss and think about, but it is, there are things that contaminate the recyclables and make them useless.
Right, like
So-
when you take paper towel and you soak up the oil that's in the pan and then you throw the paper towel in the recyclable, that's contaminated, you can't do that.
Oh, I don't recycle paper towels.
But, I think as far as the glass, Islip is continuing to take the glass through 2019. So it's an issue that we have to discuss next year in 2020. And what we're talking about in the, committee meetings with all the town representatives, the Carters and the disposal facilities, is creating a new market for glass, because East Hampton is using the glass for drainage underneath, parking lots or roadbeds so they're looking at going to the state, creating a lobbying committee, going to the state, and then pushing for new markets for recyclables.
And one of the other questions is as far as this notifications, because it's all at all of the residential homes, is there any way that when they pick up the garbage, that they can deliver the letters at that time with the garbage, cause everybody's trash is there and they're picking it up, or is there any way to attach it there so we don't have to incur the cost of the mailing?
That's a good idea, that's something that we can look into. I know you can't put it in the mailbox, cause that's a federal crime, so if they had an extra slot in their mailbox, as you would for the newspaper, then you could put it in that extra slot, but you can't, but we could talk about that. And the plastic bags might be expensive to hang them on the doors if the Carters are,
Or just with their trash?
so.
I think we should get the blue masks to help us do a little demonstration video of what you can recycle recycle and what you cannot, it would
Yeah.
be fun.
Yeah, and that would be
Actually,
good,
Jim and I have some theater background, well, I do too.
that would be good to put on
He just
channel
said he
three,
could
too.
do
Yeah,
stand-up.
that's right.
The
so
whole
we can
world's
have-
the whole world's a stage, yes.
We
We could give you a cape.
we'll do a little video.
We should put everything on this
And post
table
it.
and say, you know,
Well, I mean, something like that people might watch.
Yeah, I think the kids
Yeah.
doing it would be a good thing.
All right,
Doesn't want you doing this.
very good.
Kiwanis Club, cause they were very
a
instrumental
dirty
in
pizza box home.
educating a lot of people and the kids in the school per se on recycling, so maybe we can get the Kiwanis Club to do it.
All right, so shall we move on to the next, which is proposed code amendments to downtown DC one with, Jeff Murphy?
Come on, Jeff, I wanna see you skipping up here. Is that all you got?
That's all I got today. I'm done. Motion to adjourn.
What's that?
I was trying to remember all my committees.
Oh my
There's only-
gosh.
I know I don't have them all here either.
There's only one page.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no, that's my copy. That's
T one,
Oh,
T
those are your
one.
notes.
To your, subcommittee.
No, that's your copy, here's a copy of Sarah.
I was on that, I
By the
started that.
way,
Oh, you put-
You write too many drafts.
funny.
What's that? Yeah, I had to finish like, we had nothing. Now that you can start the environmental, at least you have an offshoot.
Oh,
That's
yeah, I
good.
didn't write that down.
Well, that's really an offshoot of it.
So next Thursday night.
Right, so that will be January 31st. Here in this room, we will be having the public information meeting for the downtown District 1 code, possible code amendments.
Yeah, and I've been referring a lot of people to the town website to get the dates and the specifics on that downtown meeting, and I can't find it anywhere on the website, neither can anybody else, so.
Did you refer that to anybody so that it got
No, I
corrected?
just found out last night, cause somebody called me and said it's not on the website, but, you know,
Okay, we'll get it on the website.
needs to
Yeah,
be.
and also, I think the point of today is because Jeff wants to try and iron out an agenda with the board, which we can also post online, so once that's all ironed out.
Yeah, we didn't wanna post this online until we had concurrence from all of you that you're okay with, if you wanna add anything or delete anything.
Yeah, I just think the date and the time of the meeting would be good online.
Yep, so take a look at it. If you have any questions, please let me know.
Alrighty. Go ahead.
First thing would be, Laura, beginning the, welcome and introduction, the whole purpose of why we're doing this exercise, taking a look at the DC one existing code, what it allows. And then also number two is take a look at how we got to where we are with the current code with the adopted plans and studies, the BOA, the bulk study, the comp plan. Then, the rest of the meeting would be turned over to me. I'll have some graphics, hopefully I'll be having a PowerPoint presentation, taking a look at the code amendments that you've all heard for the last 2 months. There's nothing new to present other than what you've already heard. One thing that, we'd like to add is perhaps, take a look at some green design. That was recommended by one of the, design committees, on the roof, is to have a green roof, infrastructure. So flat roofs and having the space utilized on the roof has been, become a popular
The movement has it.
amenity.
Right.
So, it's a nice place to go up there and get nice views, get light
Town
air.
Crossing has it up there in the balcony.
Yeah.
Vegetables,
in the back.
tomatoes,
Yep.
lettuce.
I don't know if you
glass
went
of wine.
watering up on your roof, but.
Well, that's part of the problem with flat roofs, where they meet the wall that's going up, is they tend to leak, so.
I'll leave it up to the architects and designers to figure that part out. I think it's just a cool idea to have it if it can be done.
Yep.
Number three, performance standards. You've heard me talk about the step back of the buildings, trying to get away from the predominance of stucco and the faux finishes that we're beginning to see a lot of. Not just in the downtown, elsewhere in the town. I really like to try to get away from that, bring up the quality of standards.
So with those performance standards, do you think that it would be a good idea to present the recommendations from the Architectural Review Board and the Landmarks Preservation Commission? After that joint meeting, they all came back with a comprehensive list of, things that they would like to see, so that the public can weigh in on that, because I give the Architectural Review Board and the Landmarks a lot of merit in their expertise in these types of buildings and changes to appeal or setbacks and things of that nature
Well,
on the
they
upper
had,
floors.
yeah, they had a lot of great comments,
Yeah.
and I think it's, you know, good if at some point we could bring in some of the information gathering that we've done, but not just them, we've also, you know, we have the design committee that's weighing in on things, and we also have we had the meeting the other night where, some business leaders, some business people downtown weighed in as well. And Jeff, I'd also ask, I mean, I don't wanna drag the meeting out longer than it needs to be, but when you're presenting the code amendment, if, you know, sometimes you could put things in layman's terms, just because I think that not everybody always understands some of the terminology
Okay.
Yeah.
in the community, and we want everybody in the community to understand what's happening.
And at the BOA study, when we were doing the BOA study and we had the community outreach, there were, billboards put up with renderings, and there were also billboards put up with recommendations, and then people would mark, it was a yes or a no, and people would put a sticker note next to it with a new recommendation, or, so there were the little Post-its that people could write on and put on the board when it came to certain recommendations that were on the board, whether they liked it or they didn't like it and why. So I think that was interesting too, because you could go around and kinda see the general feel of the public and the people that are participating.
Yeah, but that, I get it, I mean, I agree, but I think that form that we had in the waiting room was after a lot of meetings.
Well, it was at the Suffolk Theater, the BOA.
Maybe that was after
Oh, the
you
BOA, I'm thinking about the Wading River Quarters.
And that's also in the adopted plans and studies, so they have taken that information and then, broken it down. So we do have some of that in the, adopted plans and studies and the information, from that, so we can use that to move forward.
Good.
Right.
I like it.
Certainly, we encourage anyone to come out, this is a really important, to our town's future, and we encourage people to come out and,
What
you
a
know,
area,
be part of the process.
I'll be there, I'll be sitting right over there.
No, you're gonna be sitting.
Nope,
So for the adopted plans and studies,
talking
were
as a
you
resident.
going to do, because Jeff, if you did it in a smaller font, engineering could blow it up into a larger font and
Yep.
put it on one of those boards,
Yep.
and you can go through the highlights of what those adopted plans and studies in the past, rather than somebody reading through a 500-page study trying to understand
So,
Yeah, I
what the
need to-
highlights
so
I
are
need
you,
to-
are you
some
suggesting
bullets.
display boards
Yes,
and stations?
yep,
Well, this is not the room for that then, that would have to be a second meeting where we
Yeah,
did
it's not gonna
display
happen
board and
in one
stations, the meeting isn't currently set up to do that.
This is
And we
more-
don't have people manning each one of the stations because we don't have topics yet.
more
Until,
informational.
yeah,
This is
this
just
is,
getting our-
Yeah.
getting feedback from the community, this is more a dialogue at this point. We certainly can set up a second meeting,
I think we will.
with that way.
And I don't think those are bad ideas, and I think that, yeah, I mean, if, that would give Jeff more time anyway, because that sounds like a lot to get together, by the 31st, but I think they're good ideas.
Well, I think this could be one of a few public meetings.
Right, I think when we narrow down what we know that the concerns are and what the, you know, what the code amendments are and what people would like to see changed, I think then we can do more of the display board and with individual conversations at that point at each one of the displays and with, feedback.
Okay, I like the idea. The last item would be the community benefits. We've heard a lot about the POPs, the privately held open space, gotten a lot of positive feedback about that. The parking, we're getting close to having a revised parking plan, announced. And last one, park and recreation, fees, something that's kind of a hot topic. I know that some of the issues have been talking about use of TDRs. Haven't heard a lot of support for it from any realm, either from the private property owners, from the farming community, the historians, the architects. They want it focused on why we're doing this, which is building height, scale, and mass and design, and keep it at that. So, I'll talk about it briefly, but I haven't heard support from anybody for it at this point, so.
okay,
Well,
and then,
we said this was a draft, I mean, it's a work in progress, and people need to keep that in mind, too, that we're taking feedback and we're narrowing it in to,
And I have not
what
changed
town needs.
the proposal since you last saw it in November, because I don't want the tail chasing the dog, so to speak. We need to hear from everybody first before we decide what we're gonna do with it.
Right.
so, under community benefits, review and impacts, are there like certain topics that you're going to touch on that you could do in a,
Just for example, like the TDR component, that would be one of them,
So then that should maybe go underneath that, TDR
Um,
components?
I
or-
didn't wanna list them out specifically, cause then we'll start talking about each one of them individually, one by one by one. So I just wanna give kind of a highlight to them, when was the TDR, when was the building setbacks for the third floor, and the building setback for the fourth floor. Requiring a pyramid law has been a very, much talked about, design element, which
Yes.
has some merits. Side yard setbacks, floor area ratios, I mean, the list goes on and on, I could
Right.
spend the whole meeting talking just about that. So I'm gonna do handouts for it,
Okay.
so that, you know, as I go through it, can go through it with me, but I just don't wanna get bogged down in, I don't want,
Right.
They're
In the min-
interconnected.
We'll be here
I
till
don't wanna
11
get
o'clock
bogged
talking
down in
about
the minutia of
TDRs.
it, so to speak,
I get it.
because it's just, there's a lot to digest, and we gotta start trying to formulate where we're going with this. And then I'm gonna talk about the POPs again in more detail, cause that seems to garner, I actually heard the word used at a public hearing the other night here about EPCAL, so it's hopefully it's a word that catches on.
You like that one.
I do,
I know
I like
you-
public-private partnerships, government cannot do it all itself, there's a benefit to the private property owner. I know I've used the aquarium ad nauseum, D. Moomis Building's got the little corner open space area, it provides a really nice design element, it benefits the public and it benefits the property owner. So I really like it.
And the alleyway in between the
Yeah,
Vale Levitt?
Yep, and everybody says we have only two really good alleyways, Stats being one of them, and the one next to the sushi restaurant.
Yeah,
Yeah, I love that alleyway too.
Yeah.
So you're gonna zero in on certain topics?
Yep.
Sounds good.
but you're not gonna put them on the agenda, so you'll just discuss them.
Yep, and people
Okay.
can follow along with me.
Yeah, like I said, I think this is gonna snowball anyway, I think it's gonna, I mean, it's good, and rightfully so, but I think the first one's really gotta be more of a informational, let's get our scratch board out and come
Exactly.
back and readdress, maybe we're gonna have to have separate issues at
know,
separate meetings.
There may be
And I like
issues that
Jody's
everyone's
idea
in
with the
agreement
boards
on,
and
and,
post-it
and
notes.
other ones that they're not, that we're not aware of, or
Right.
we didn't know that that was such a significant, issue, so,
Right.
that's why we're having the meeting, to
Yep.
get to that point.
And in the case, and I know I'm repeating myself, the whole issue with the TDR, I thought was a really good idea, and it's just fallen flat, so
Yeah, but-
why even keep bringing it up again? I mean, I'll bring it up once at the meeting and then just move on from it, and focus on the things that we can get support for.
So are you going to work off of the original document? Because, I mean, there are things that people already agree on, but you're gonna wait.
I'm gonna
And
keep
still
it as
work off
is,
the
but then
original
I'm gonna say,
document?
this is what we've heard so far, for example, I'm gonna talk about the TDRs.
Oh, okay.
and by
We'll
saying-
bring up some of the good feedback that we've had from all the different groups.
The
and
pyramid
from the
law,
board.
we've heard from the landmarks and ARB, and Jody, you mentioned it, it's garnered a lot of
Mm-hmm.
support from the community.
Well, it's all those discussions that brought us to this meeting anyway, so of course you gotta highlight why we're here.
Yeah, this is not Jeff Murphy's design, we got a lot of really knowledgeable people in this community, let them help formulate this thing and get to the finish line.
So, I think that there should be a diagram of what the pyramid law is, because people are not gonna understand by you saying pyramid law, and
It goes to what you say with
Mm-hmm.
layman's term.
and it's not gonna go from the property line, it's gonna go from the height of the
Okay.
building next door, right?
Yeah,
So-
that's what Kelly recommended,
So
and,
just a diagram of that, so that people understand what pyramid law is, because there are pyramid laws throughout.
Well, I think Jeff's gonna do a PowerPoint, so we will have the visual of it also,
Yep.
because I think people, multisensory learning, and I think to have discuss it and have the visual of it, I think,
Perfect.
agree is very
Yeah.
important.
in fact, I'll probably just use her diagram, I think that worked out really well, it
Yeah.
was very simple, and I wanna give her credit for it, it was a really good
Yeah,
idea.
yeah, we're lucky to have.
Yeah, she's really good, I like her.
Okay.
Who? Kelly.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, she gave us good feedback. A lot of people did. And we were just, this morning at a chamber meeting, and there was a discussion at the chamber about how, we need to utilize the talent in the community. There's a lot of talent in Riverhead, and, we've been able to utilize a lot of that talent through this process.
So, all right,
Thank you,
so
Debbie.
again, it's
I got a
gonna
lot
be
of work
on
to do.
January 31st, here in Town Hall
you.
at 6 P.M.
And,
Pulling your
and,
hair out, bro.
What was
and
that?
we're gonna get this.
You know what,
Pull
maybe
their
like-
ears out.
I promise I'll get a haircut before next
And
week.
then, do we want, like, where it says next steps, do we wanna set the next meeting date? So that night, so that people know, maybe we can look at a different venue where we can put up the poster boards where people can comment? whether it be at the Suffolk Theater or at the aquarium or wherever, just so that we should be setting up another venue so that people know when they leave that the next meeting is going to be on this date.
I think we could talk about setting another date, but I think we ought to see how the meeting goes to see
Yeah,
how the next
yeah.
venue formulates, cause you, as the evening goes on, you might see more what's needed, or what's working, or what isn't, or.
It might mean 1 month will work for me, it might mean 2 months will work for me.
Yeah, I was gonna say, cause once you get all the
Yeah.
information, you have to
Right.
extrapolate that and put that in
Yeah,
as this is what you said, is this what you mean, and then,
right.
Come back and formulate it into a presentation,
right,
and I'm gonna come back to you first before I do all that.
right.
Yeah, I think that probably would be the more prudent thing
But
to
I,
do
I,
is come back
I
and
think
decide
Jody's
in
right, I
another
think
work
the next
session.
time it will probably not be in this room, I think it's gonna be.
It's good to get it out of town hall
You
anyway.
have it down
just-
at the theater or at the aquarium.
We're gonna have it
or-
in the parking lot, in the back of downtown, how's that?
Not on
I-
the
A true visual of
Not
everything.
when it's raining.
And I think
Not
it's
today.
important to collect a list when people come in,
Oh, we
as
need
to their name, their email address, their
Sign sheet.
affiliation, as to why they're here, and then share that with the board,
Address
so
where
that
they
if we
live.
have, we wanna have open discussions with anybody that did come or was trying to emphasize a point that we may have confusion on, that we have their email addresses, so that we know, and it'd be helpful for the
Phone
downtown
number.
revitalization.
Yeah,
It'd be
But
awesome.
I want everyone to know that everyone's welcome.
Yeah, of course.
And that includes
You don't
the-
have to have expertise in some particular area, you just have to be someone that lives in Riverhead.
Yeah, I'm not
and
saying
cares
that,
about it,
I'm
or
just
works
saying,
in has a
just
business.
say who you are and what your interest is here, and
And-
how to get in touch with you.
And as I said, as part of this, I mean, we have been receiving letters from people in the community, so if somebody is not able to make it, they certainly can mail a letter in or make a comment. We will have, it goes to the town clerk here, and then it is distributed to all board members. So if anybody, would like to do that, that certainly is, welcomed also.
Good.
All right,
Thank you.
I got a lot of work between now and next week.
all right.
Yeah, you do.
Thank
If
you,
you need
Jeff.
help-
Jeff.
Sure.
Thank you,
If
Jeff.
you need help, just call somebody.
Jim, what are you doing next?
Councilman Wu.
All right, that's a short agenda for tonight, for this morning. Can I have a first and second to go into executive session for personnel, matters surrounding promotion of an employee, matters surrounding additional certification of an employee, contractual discussion regarding the possible cancellation of a contract, and current litigation in the matter of Oak Hills Association versus Woodson.
So move, let's go into.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So carried. Yes?
So,